What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Ray V. Let's get it.
Sad boy.
Sad boy quote of the day.
F ain't for fields, it's for fantasy. So let's get into our deepest fantasies, baby. I'll give you a third for him, though.
Comment section. Anthony exclaims, I hope my league finds you so they can make some moves for real. We need that trade movement. Daily dose, baby. Statistically, 100% of your league shouldn't be satisfied with their team and need to do something about it. Let's be for real. I don't want to butcher your name, so I'm going to just call you T Weddings. T Weddings ponders. My brother, if I'm a middle of the pack borderline playoff team, would you sell Makai Lemon and my 2027 first for JJ? My team is young and a lot of wide receiver depth. I would really need more details to give you a full answer, but with the information here, I would send it. I'm only using 2027 first to get something elite, and JJ is elite. He will help you more than Lemon this year for sure. Like I said in the video, JJ being able to be traded for in general is a buy low, and you're essentially getting him for only 2 first. That's a steal in my opinion. It's Thursday, y'all. It's time to sell high. The whole list of guys won't be super spicy, but I do for sure have one super spicy guy on here, maybe 2. I got good arguments though, but let's dive into these players. First guy today is gonna be Christian McCaffrey. I love the Niners, man, but it's bad juju that he was pretty much healthy all last season. Them German stem cells are crazy. The strongest argument for selling CMC isn't that he's about to fall off, it's that his value can only really go down from here. He's entering his age 30 season, which is historically where running back values can collapse quickly, unless you're elite, and he's elite, but you know, I just had to throw that in there. He's one of the rare running backs who could still win a league all by himself, which means contenders will pay a premium, but Dynasty is about future value, not past production. He just handled a career high 413 touches in 2025, leading the NFL in workload. He's operating in a range where even a minor injury, a slight reduction in receiving usage, or a drop from running back 1 overall to running back 8 can slash his Dynasty value in half. Massive workloads often precede efficiency drops or injuries for veteran running backs. The cliff doesn't have to be dramatic, it just has to make managers stop viewing him as an elite asset. His Dynasty value is unlikely to increase from here. Running backs can go from elite assets to near zero trade value in a single season, especially older running backs with extensive career mileage. CMC has over 2,200 career touches at 30 years old. Think about recent Dynasty running backs like Austin Eckler, Dalvin Cook, or Alvin Kamara. They didn't go from elite to useless overnight. Their trade value evaporated much faster than their fantasy production. That's the key distinction. After an overall running back 1 season, you're essentially selling at the top of the market. Of course, the counter argument is that he could totally finish as running back 1 again. That's why contenders often hold him. But if you're rebuilding or retooling, this may be your last offseason where someone will pay a premium package for him. The Dynasty rule always is better to be 1 year early than 1 year late. If you're a contender, holding CMC is completely reasonable because his points may be worth more than whatever trade package you get. But if you're not one of the top 2 to 3 teams in your league, I'd rather trade him for a younger starter plus a first, 2 firsts plus, a young wide receiver with ascending value, and additional draft capital. The goal isn't to avoid decline entirely, it's to move the asset before the rest of the league starts pricing in the decline. A good Dynasty question is, will CMC be worth more in June 2027 than he is today? It's hard to build a realistic case that the answer is yes. That's why he's a sell high. Next guy's going to be James Cook. With CMC, you're worried about age. With Cook, you're worried about situation and sustainability. A huge portion of Cook's fantasy value has been driven by touchdowns. Touchdowns are one of the least stable stats year to year, especially for running backs who aren't consistently getting 20 plus carries a game. There is definitely regression risk around his scoring production for multiple seasons. They also added DJ Moore this offseason with pretty hefty draft capital. They also lost their fullback this offseason as well. This could be nothing, or it could be signaling the offense wanting to pass more. Cook is a very good player, but he isn't viewed as a true workhorse in the same way as elite Dynasty backs like Bijan or Gibbs. If Buffalo shifts even slightly towards a committee or changes goal line usage, his value takes a hit. And he's always going to have Josh Allen trying to steal his touchdowns. He's entering the age range where running backs stop gaining Dynasty value. Even if he has another running back 1 season, it's hard to see him being worth more in a year than he is right now. Dynasty age curves are notoriously harsh on running backs. Right now, he still has a strong market value because he's a proven producer on an elite offense, and many Dynasty rankings still place him among the top Dynasty running back assets. I don't think James Cook needs to get worse for his value to drop. If he goes from running back 5 to running back 12, it's still a good fantasy season, but in Dynasty, managers start viewing him him as just another good veteran running back instead of a premium asset. That's where you lose a lot of trade value. If someone in your league values Cook as a top 5 dynasty running back, I'd strongly consider turning him into a 2027 first plus a young wide receiver, a younger running back with insulation plus a first, 2 future firsts if you can get them. What's more likely to happen a year from now? James Cook is worth running back 3 overall, or he's worth running back 14 overall? Definitely think it'd be RB 14 overall. That's why he's a sell high. Alright, here's the spicy one. Jaxson Smith Njigba. Spicy, spicy, spicy. My sell high argument for JSN is actually one of the tougher ones in Dynasty because he's young, productive, and has already proven he's elite. But I'll take the argument challenge. The argument isn't that he's overrated. The argument is that he might be priced at his absolute ceiling. After his monster 2025 season, JSN is being valued as a top 5 overall Dynasty asset, and in some rankings as the wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 overall. He's coming off an offensive player of the year caliber season with nearly 1,800 receiving yards and recently signed a massive extension, so the market has essentially priced in the best possible version of his career. What happens if he's merely a top 10 wide receiver instead of the wide receiver 1? That's the risk. If he posts 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns next season, that's still a fantastic season, but Dynasty managers may stop valuing him as the untouchable asset they do today. His fantasy production could remain elite while his trade value declines. Another reason to consider selling is repeating historic seasons is difficult. JSN's current valuation assumes he'll continue producing near his peak level, which is a tough expectation for any receiver. I mean, he did just lose his offensive coordinator. They did just win the Super Bowl. Super Bowl hangover is a real thing. Is Sam Darnold for real the QB we want tied to JSN? What if they switch to Milrow soon? Aren't the Seahawks too good to land a premium first that'll land them a great QB prospect in the near future? There's a lot of logic and questions here. But before you say something like, he's a great route runner and will be QB proof, didn't we just see Justin Jefferson come off a horrible season that had nothing to do with injury? I'm not saying it will happen. I'm just saying there's definitely a non-zero chance out there. That being said, there's a huge difference between JSN and CMC or James Cook. JSN is only a sell because of price. If someone offers a younger QB in the tier 2 range plus a first and superflex, 2 elite young assets, or 3 plus first worth of value, I'd listen. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I would listen. This doesn't mean get rid of them just to get rid of them. Overpays only, baby. If the offer is anything less than a king's ransom, I'd hold. Yes, I am absolutely copping out and throwing a disclaimer here. You should only move him for an absolute bag because he's already established himself as one of the Dynasty's premier assets. You don't sell JSN because you think he'll fail. You sell him because the market is already assuming he'll keep being the best version of himself for the next 5 years. Next guy's going to be Jalen Hurts. The case for selling Jalen Hurts is not that he's a bad Dynasty asset. Well, maybe. Dark horse benching, y'all. I believe it for real. It's that he's one of the few players in Superflex who can bring back an absolutely absurd return. Unlike CMC or Cook, Hurts' value is protected by the fact that quarterbacks hold value longer than running backs. The sell case is more about market value versus actual scoring edge. Hurts is still valued as a top 5 Dynasty quarterback in many leagues, despite him coming off a relatively disappointing fantasy season. His fantasy dominance has historically been driven by his rushing production and goal line touchdowns. If his rushing attempts or tush-push opportunities decline even slightly, his weekly advantage over other elite quarterbacks shrink. His passing numbers have never been quite as elite as quarterbacks like Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert. Much of his fantasy value comes from his rushing floor. There are questions about his surrounding environment after changes to the Eagles receiving core, including the departure of key weapons in AJ Brown and OC Kevin Patullo. Things will be different this year for sure, and I'm not sure if it's going up for him. Let's just say that Hurts scores 21 points per game. Now let's say a younger QB scores 19 points per game. The gap is meaningful, but it may not be worth another starting quarterback, a young wide receiver, and a future first. That's the entire sell high thesis. The trade market often prices elite quarterbacks as if they're providing a much larger advantage than they actually are. With Hurts, you're betting that he'll still be very good, but his dynasty value is already near maximum. If someone in your league will give you something like a quarterback like Baker Mayfield, Brock Purdy, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, and a first, 2 first plus, or numerous young premium assets at different positions, that's where I'd seriously consider moving him. Hurts has been a fantasy cheat code for years. Even during a down season, he remained a QB1 and has consistently finished among the top fantasy quarterbacks. I'm not actively shopping Hurts, just seeing if I can extract an absurd amount of value out of him. I'd just be willing to take advantage if somebody is willing to pay elite Superflex QB tax. You sell Hurts not because you expect him to decline, unless you believe in the dark horse benching, but because few players in Dynasty can be turned into as much value as he can right now. And our last guy guy might be a little spicy, but it's Tetairoa McMillan. I saw just yesterday that T-Mac was talking about how he put on 17 extra pounds this offseason, and his foot is a little sore during camp. That might have to do with the extra bulk he put on. Also saw a little concern from PT Twitter docs conversing about his chronic foot issues. Might be something to monitor. Also, undrafted free agent Jalen Coker, receiver mogging him during the playoffs, is something to watch as well. But the core idea of selling high on him is you're selling the price, not the talent. T-Mac is a legit young wide receiver 1 type talent. He just won Offensive Rookie of the Year, cleared 1,000 yards, and immediately earned a massive target share in Carolina's offense. So this is not a he's overrated argument. It's a he's already priced like a locked-in Dynasty cornerstone argument. His value assumes everything breaks right. He's already being valued in the wide receiver 1 range in Dynasty circles after year 1. That pricing effectively assumes Bryce Young makes a real leap. Carolina stays past competent long-term. T-Mac maintains elite target share and efficiency, and no meaningful offensive competition emerges. That's a lot of ifs baked into an already elite valuation. Situation risk is doing more work than people admit. Even in his breakout year, Carolina was still a lower volume passing environment. Reports and projections show him relying heavily on target share rather than a high-powered passing attack. That matters because elite Dynasty wide receiver value usually comes from elite talent and elite volume environment. Right now he's closer to elite talent carrying a mediocre passing ecosystem. If the environment doesn't improve, he can still be great, but just not necessarily a perpetual top 5 Dynasty asset. Sophomore year pricing inflation is real. Year 2 wide receivers who hit early often get pushed into untouchable territory fast. Brian Thomas Jr. anybody? BTJ? Y'all better take out that T, you feel me? Lad McConkey? That's where you get the biggest arbitrage opportunity. Managers assume next Jamar Chase arc. You're effectively selling the career projection, not the player. That's exactly where T-Mac is entering. Even if he stays good, like a wide receiver 11 finish overall, his Dynasty value still drops. Slight QB stagnation caps weekly ceiling, team shifts target distribution, another wide receiver emerges in the offense. None of those require him to bust, just not to ascend into the absolute elite tier. You don't have to sell T-Mac because you think he's fragile. You sell him if you can get a young QB tier asset in Superflex, or multiple premium first plus a young ascending wide receiver, or a tier down wide receiver plus significant draft capital. Are you getting paid for a good wide receiver 1 or for a future Dynasty wide receiver 3 overall? If it's the latter, you take the haul and you don't overthink it. Forgot in the intro to flex my jersey. I'm rocking that Chi-Town Shicey, baby, number 11, DeRozan. DeMar DeFrozen. Yikes. But I hope y'all like the sell highs today. Spicy, but not too spicy, but maybe a little bit. Y'all tell me. For real, let me know down below. I know y'all like to see your names pop up during comment section time. Come on now. I like to debate the points too and just yap to yaps. So write a little something for me and we'll fight about it. But never forget that with selling high, you must always remember your daily dose of send that trade. Send it. Send it. That's it for today, though. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, rebuilds fade, dynasties reign. Peekaboo. Call me a lover boy, simp, Libra. It's more than love sick. I got a fever. Feelings overloading. Not to be a diva. Standing 10 toes down. I'm not gonna leave you.